here with Earl. I'll let Earl say your full name.
Hanselman, Earl A. Hanselman.
Where and when were you born, Earl?
Born here in Laverne, 1920.
Great. So, born in Laverne, Iowa, where we're currently conducting the interview, 1920.
Yep.
And who were your parents? And what were their
George and Anna Hanselman.
Okay. And what were their occupations?
Farming.
Farming.
They were farmers.
Great. What would you farm?
How big a farm?
No, what corn, soybeans, pigs?
Oh, everything.
Everything.
They had everything. Cattle, hogs,
Cattle.
chickens.
Great. Who were your siblings?
Beg your pardon?
Did you have siblings?
Yes, I have a brother. I had a brother, Leroy, and a sister, Alva. They're both dead. Let me get my hearing aid.
Sure.
Going.
Great. So you said you had a sister and a brother.
Yes.
And unfortunately, they passed away. Did they also serve in the military?
No.
Nope.
No.
And then before you entered the service, what were you doing? Working on the
I
farm?
was executive of Kraft Foods Company, and I was one of the early people that had an education in dairy manufacturing and bacteriology,
Mm-hmm.
and naturally cheeses
Mm-hmm.
particularly is a very sensitive bacterial project.
Right.
And so, with my training in college, I was a pretty valuable man when I think back about that part. And so, when the idea of they hired to be a quality control officer, see, that's what the title. And then things go wrong in the plant, you're supposed to know how to solve it, see. And so, the last plant I was at was, well, I think it probably says in there.
Mm-hmm.
Was during the war, they sent me down there to this, one of their plants in Denison, Texas, trying to perfect an all their margarine that melted went melted at 105 degrees. So that troops at that time were at the equator
Yep.
thing, and so we got that put together.
So about what year was that?
Oh boy, that is now in 43 maybe.
Okay. So when did you start working at Kraft Foods?
41.
41?
Yeah.
Right after finishing your education. And where did you go? You went to Iowa State.
Yeah.
And so you went to Iowa State and studied, was it economics and business?
Dairy industry and economics, but I majored on economics mainly, but there was a combined major.
Great. And then you went immediately from there to Kraft Foods.
Right.
And you worked in Denison, Texas on these high
Well,
temperature
I was
food
at
stuffs.
Denison when Texas don't defer people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was eligible for draft.
Mm-hmm.
So then I applied for commission, and then you know the rest.
Yep. So, in which branch of the military did you serve?
Navy, United States Navy.
And you said you entered the draft.
Did what?
You signed up for the draft?
I applied for a commission to the Navy for, so, well, you have to take
Yeah.
the physicals of that.
Yeah.
And so I applied for a commission in the Navy. And I was sent to Fort Worth Marine Corps Air Base.
Okay. For your training?
I don't know what the hell I was supposed to learn there because there's only one other Navy officer on the whole Marine base.
Is that right?
And they treated me like I was the God Almighty. I couldn't figure out. I knew the Marines, you know, and God, they sure treated me so darn good. And
Your instructors were the Marines?
what?
Your instructors in Fort Worth?
No, I was just in there.
Yeah.
They're just supposed to. I guess supposed to see what's going on in the military, but I'd had a ROTC, see, at college, so. But anyway, then they put me in. There was an officers mess with about 2,000 in the red because they didn't run the casino part right. They had about 50 slot machines. It was a big base. They had slot machines said it wouldn't win nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, we're going, no, the colonel says, well, you're supposed to be a hot shot. We'll put you in charge and see if we can get out of debt. And so I went on from there, and we changed the damn machines. And pretty soon we had so damn much money we didn't know what to do with it. It was a miracle.
So did you received some specialized training, you've told me before.
After I got to Harvard.
Yeah, so walk me through your training process. You're at Fort Worth, and there's only one other naval officer. You're kind of learning your own way and
Sure,
doing what they
that's
tell you to
what we
do.
do.
How do you get from there to Harvard? Walk us through
Oh,
that.
well, then, like, one day the colonel called me in and he said, you know, you're going to be going to Harvard. I am, you know, and so, well, you see, I had them orders. I didn't know that, but he did. I
Mm-hmm.
guess. And so then, well, one day I find myself heading for Boston.
And what did you study at Harvard?
Where?
What were you studying?
Well, it was a graduate school of business administration.
Mhm.
It was a course put on by the Treasury Department,
Mm-hmm.
specialized in handling money, transfers, foreign nations, in the front line during the war. I had a unit of the Australian fleet. If they needed something, I had
Mhm.
authority to give them. We had a British unit with us,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they'd want something I had authority to give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, our ship was Task Force 58 to Missouri,
Mm-hmm.
and we were part of that task force. So, you know,
So the timeline of this, you started at Fort Worth in, you said 41?
no, that would be probably 44.
44?
Probably.
And then you stayed there for how long before they asked you to go to
Probably
Harvard?
A couple months. or
Oh,
so.
okay. So you almost immediately went off to Harvard in
Yeah.
44.
Sure.
Graduated from Harvard in 40.
Well, whatever you call it, from Harvard.
Yeah, graduated with a degree in specialized course of
Yeah.
Masters of Business and Administration that the
Yeah.
U.S. You said the U.S. Treasury Department put
So-
on. And what year was that?
Well, I'd have been 44 for sure.
Oh, you did the degree in 1 year. Yeah.
First assignment was if you go to Newport, Rhode Island. That's the largest Navy
Yep.
training station we had at that time. And they said they need you there because you can have unlimited sums. People up there haven't got enough money to pay the troops.
Mm-hmm.
And so Big Shot, he come in, I could draw all the money I needed, so he could transfer it off. So
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty, 250, back in those days, 250,000, pretty good check, and maybe twice a week.
Wow.
It ain't nothing nowadays, but
Yeah.
it was then.
Yeah. So that was your specialized training was to allow you to
Yeah.
provide unlimited sums of money
Yeah.
to fund the war operations. And you started in Newport, and tell us where else you served.
Well, then the ship was built down at Tampa, so then eventually he got sent down there,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was the assistant supply officer.
Okay.
Now that ship, you have a picture of it there, it's a tremendous vessel. It's a back page.
Yeah.
16,200 tons of material put on that ship each time you loaded. Oh my God, it's a monstrous thing. But anyway, I was assistant supply officer. Well, we left Tampa and we came back, went up to Bayonne and loaded the first time on the new ship.
Okay.
And then headed through the canal and Pearl Harbor. And we stopped Pearl Harbor for a couple of days, and he was court-martialed.
Okay.
The FBI came aboard, arrested him, and said I was going to take his place. He was just a lieutenant. Holy cow, take the place of commander. The captain of the ship had a fit. He said, you can't possibly handle it. There's no way. I want a supply officer. The captain was a very good naval officer at one time and very efficient. But he said, well, he just had a fit. Well, as you say, when we got about 10 miles out, he was ready to go back. He wanted to, where are you going to find a supply officer? And I said, sorry, don't have available, proceed.
So they took the lieutenant of the ship that you were on, carried him off, and promoted you from the assistant supply officer to lieutenant of the ship.
Well, no, I was still a lieutenant.
Yeah, okay.
I had charge of the supplies.
Yeah, sure.
Completely, money and the supplies now, because I was going to do the money before.
Got it.
And then I had to do supplies too.
Got it.
And so anyway, then the story of connected with this, we weren't out of Pearl Harbor, probably getting towards the halfway to the front line, what you call the front line of the Pacific.
And what year is this?
44.
Probably be 44
Yep.
yet.
Yep.
And being I was top secret, I could decode all messages. I learned to decode sometime or other. I don't know where that was, but anyway, then I had to learn in the intelligence department. I had to learn how to decode top secret.
Right.
So about 2 o'clock, here a message comes through. These 3 decoding officers couldn't decode it. So they got me out of bed and said there was something in their files that said I was mathematical genius and I could rearrange letters. Well, I knew it was going to be top secret, but so I broke the message. And normally you don't have to show the message as top secret, but it was pretty pertinent. So I got the captain out of bed and handing the message. Right across the top, comes off top secret. What the hell are you doing with that? Oh, he said, you ain't supposed to have that. I'll have to report you to the authorities. What are you doing with that message? You can't have top secret messages. Well, Captain, here's what I want you to do. You dismiss your orderly. We don't want him in your room there. And then you read the message. His face turned white and what's wrong? He says that's the location of the Japanese submarine fleet. And they're right underneath us. We'll be torpedoed by morning for sure. Sound general alarm. Oh, wait a minute, Captain. This is where I take over. You can't do that. You'll disclose my authority. You sound general alarm, our troops will know that I had a message to them. Well, then send the exec. No, you can't tell them either. Just you and me is the only ones that are going to know this. And that has to be that way, see. And so we said, you slow this thing down 1 knot, and you have 1 degree, and you play Happy Birthday song loud as you can. Maybe Japs will hear it. So next morning we were, it didn't get nothing happen. With fingers crossed, but we went general quarters a half hour early. It was abandoned ship materials. So you're ready to be in the water.
So, to clarify for everyone that'll be watching, you decoded a top secret message that you had intercepted or that had been intentionally sent to you, to your ship.
Oh yeah, I just sent the top secret agents.
And that was the U.S. Navy communicating with you the location of the Japanese ship.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And the
I
reason...
suppose it'd be, you see the flyers fly over, maybe going back to Pearl Harbor or some other island, and they, in certain conditions, they say they can see submarines in the water.
Right.
You know, it's quiet or whatnot. Anyway, that's how come once in a while they can see the submarine fleets.
Yep. And so when you were able to identify the position of the ship,
Yeah.
tell us why you couldn't share that information again? You weren't able to tell the others on the boat that information? Because why?
Because they will disclose my top secret ability.
Right.
You know, it'll be obvious if I got a message that this ship starts changing. So will the Japanese figure. I said the Japanese, if you do something exciting, they'll think, boy, there's something that ship is valuable.
Exactly.
And so don't make any false moves.
Exactly.
Of course, that's some of the stuff they talk about, like intelligence. You know,
Yep.
And the captain had been confronted with the top secret agent, and he said that he all the other captains, or all the other people, he said, through the years, said the worst thing that happened to you is to have a top secret agent aboard your ship.
Mm.
And then as time went on, he says, it is. He says it is. And he and I got along just splendid, but I see if I decided to leave, do something, I didn't have to ask him. I just leave.
Yeah.
I had my own Jeep, and
Yeah.
it was kind of like I was a privileged character.
Yeah.
Although I didn't abuse it. It
Yeah.
wasn't that I did that, but it just, I didn't have to tell him. There's things come through I didn't have to tell him.
Why do you think you weren't torpedoed on that day?
What?
Why do you think the Japanese submarine that shared your location did not launch a torpedo as you thought?
Well, generally, the Japanese wanted first battleships
Mm-hmm.
and carriers,
Mm-hmm.
and the next one is cruisers,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe destroyer. They won't waste them on cargo vessels, maybe, or maybe on destroyers, because they're going to save them for their opportunity on battleships, and particularly cruisers. And now my cruiser story is the one that's related to this. Our ship was in Mindanao. That's the south end of Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in port with the Indianapolis. That's a big cruiser. Newest cruiser and the best one that the United States ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We got orders on this particular day that both ships to go to Tacloban. It's a 3-day trip for our ship, but usually two for them, because they go 30 knots. We go 12, wide open, I guess. And so, 8 o'clock that morning, we both ships left for Tacloban. So in 3 days, we get to Tacloban and go into before we really even get tied up, here come all the rescue vehicles and weapons carriers and military and everything else. Where are the survivors? What do you mean survivors? You was with the Indianapolis. We lost her on the radar screen. I figured you were with her. Oh my. So they immediately sent the Air Force, the Army, and all the search that part of the Pacific, and they finally found the guys floating in the water. They'd been in the water 5 days without anything to drink, the ones that were left.
Wow.
There's 1,200 people on a cruiser generally, and I think the last count was that there was 316 survived, and the sharks got most of them. The damn thing sunk in 12 minutes, they say, and they didn't have a chance to take anything with them but to get in the damn water and get off in the ship. And on a ship that size, you're supposed to be able to swim 500 feet. If you don't get 500 feet away, you get sucked under and the ship goes under.
Mm.
So you get in the water, you start swimming if you can.
Mm.
I guess, I don't know. I never got in there, thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
With the sharks, I dreaded to see them. There's always sharks down there.
Mm-hmm. And so your ship came over to rescue those remaining 312 on your way. Is that accurate?
Did what?
No.
It survived the 5 days. I was to someplace in Des Moines, I suppose, and later, like in the 50s, and this guy had happened to be there, and he related. He said we was bobbing around the water, and I said, "How you doing, Joe?" And he didn't answer me. And so he said, "I went over there," and I said, "How you doing, Joe?" And he just tipped over. The sharks had eaten everything off of him except to his life jacket, and he was just head and shoulders were just sitting in the life jacket. The rest is all gone. So that's the sad part of war in it.
To say the least.
It would make your stomach turn to think of it, but that's war. And
so that's a bit of a good segue to discuss any sort of special camaraderie you had with others on the ship, or perhaps friends that you had on your supply vessel, or perhaps other vessels. If you want to talk about some of those friendships you may have had and may continue to have, that'd be great to share.
Didn't particularly try to make any great friendships aboard ship, because you're liable to spill something that's related top secret. So you have to be so careful, because I'd know 2 months ahead of time what was going to happen. See, and what the plans were, and they're always bumping me to see, what do you think's going to happen? How do I know? I'm not a Navy fighter. But anyway, that's how things go, and so.
So then, how did you stay in touch with family and friends back home?
Letters.
Yeah. How regular would you send them?
George was a year and a half old before I saw him.
Yeah?
I bet he thought, I wonder what that sucker's doing kissing my mom.
Wow. Did you have any fun activities that you did for recreation while serving, perhaps while you were off duty, if there was such a time as a top secret agent?
Well, aboard ship you don't have very much time. In fact, the matter is, you'd be surprised that in my case, I was busy, more than busy all the time.
I'd imagine.
And I had 50 some guys working in just a supply office just doing paperwork. And then I had another highly trained guy handling the money balances in. I didn't want anybody in that room, because they usually had $500,000 in the safe. Nothing bigger than 20s. Because people that you didn't pay them nothing bigger than 20s.
Payroll.
Yeah. Since sailors come in, you want $25. Well, give them 20 to 5. But
Yep.
you don't need a 50s or 100s.
Yep.
But the 20s pile up pretty fast.
So, where else were you when you were on your ship? I mean, I know you've shared with me previously that you were in Japan for a bit afterwards, but even between the time that you were traveling over and the time that you docked to Japan, where else were you?
Oh, there's the Philippines quite a few times to
Yeah.
load.
Yep.
To
Okay.
Tacloban. And especially Tacloban, there's a big depot, I guess the Navy established that way back when, I suppose. They had a tremendous volume of material there at Tacloban. And it was a kind of a bay that submarines couldn't get in, because it was submarines that don't want to get in the water is less than 500 feet.
Okay.
They can't hide.
Yeah.
I don't know what. So it was really called a safe harbor to that extent. You understand?
Yeah, that's too shallow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Too shallow
for
and you were
submarines.
protected.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a good port that way,
Good.
but it wasn't too much to do but
Stock
go
up.
out and along the road and see a bunch of bananas, maybe cut it off a banana tree.
So you would make trips from the Philippines, and then
Well, then we go to where they meet with the Missouri, and then
Transfer.
we get stuff to the cruisers and destroyers and
Yep.
whoever, and of course you never stop. move everything on full speed.
Yep.
Yeah. Cranes and everything. Craning it while you were going.
Yeah, we had five winches on that ship. And they could throw stuff over in a hurry. Okay,
So-
now I'll tell you the next story.
Yeah.
About
Please.
the second time we come to Tackleoman,
Yep.
the FBI came aboard to arrest me. They said there's a shortage of material in your account. I don't think so, but so they checked my inventory, and I had what I was supposed to have. And they said, well, we're short so many millions of dollars worth of supplies, and we can't figure out whether they're getting away. And the ships we talked to, they said that they get $100,000 worth of supplies, and I'm only putting 75,000. You know, you keep on the move, you throw it over, and I'm not filling the orders. So your inventory's got to be long. Well, I don't think it's long because we go by the invoice. So, okay, I got by that. And then the war ended. Eventually go to China coast and work with the Marine generals over there. Oh, then when they come aboard again, we got an warrant for your arrest. Now what do you do? Well, we're still checking the inventory. We got your inventory is okay, so I guess we can't do anything about it. But what we've discovered is that these ships were taking the thing and selling it to the gooks on shore, and then they said it was in a storm and they lost it overboard.
Mm.
And since I was the source of supplies, they say we better arrest it because you're involved.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I'm free again. But anyway, it's nice to know that they were checking good. That,
Yep.
So I guess you gain a lot of experiences in a lifetime.
Yep. So you were running supply chain operations for about how many years? Till from 44.
Well, I got out in 46.
Okay. And then you went to where from there?
Here.
Yep.
I'd been in an explosion on board ship and lost this year and only had 20% left in this. So that stayed since then. So
Yeah.
I thought I could have went back with craft, but I decided maybe I ought to come back to the farm. My mother was still running the farm. My father had died in the war. And I thought, well, it'll be a chance to recover and to be with my family again and the kids. And so I stayed on. It isn't all sunshine with a corporation. You get
You said you had previously shared with me that you spent some time in Hiroshima.
yes, 1 hour.
1 hour.
There's nothing else to see. There's my picture. I took that picture of it too.
Yeah. Can you walk me through what that was like to see it?
Well, we were at Sasebo. That's kind of I recall it's a kind of an inland port, but going there, you go through miles and miles of bay, and you realize the Japanese been in existence before Christ was born. Those mountains on both sides are up to snow some cases, and they're terraced all the way up probably a 6 foot or 8 foot ledge, and then a little more 6 foot, 8 foot. And every so often there's steps going up, and you see guys carrying across their shoulders 2 buckets of human waste. And you laughing, you see it cut as far as you can see mountains going that way, and they're terrorists. And you get taken. It's taken centuries and centuries to have done all that.
Yeah.
As far as you could see, it was always terrorists to the mountains to the south.
And how long after the bomb was dropped in Hiroshima was it that you were there?
About 2 months.
About 2 months.
Yeah.
And
I'd guess, I can't remember exactly, but it wasn't very long afterwards.
Yeah.
We were accessible.
and probably wasn't safe for you to be there, is that right?
No, we found out later it wasn't supposed to, but we're only there an hour. There wasn't
Yeah.
enough to see. You could
Yeah.
see the picture. We drove in, and it's, we figured it was five miles to the center,
Yeah.
the radius, so it's a 10-mile diameter around the episode, center episode, so. And that picture there is just about to the center.
Mm-hmm. And why was it that you were there or able to be there for just an hour?
Well, there was nothing to see.
No, but why did you venture there in the first place?
Well, we just thought it'd be, we was only accessible, let me guess, 20 miles?
Mm.
Yeah, and said, well, I'll never have enough opportunity to do, and of course, I could come and go as I wanted.
Yeah, right, okay.
And I always had a bodyguard, so I'd take him along,
Mm-hmm.
and so, I don't know, we decided, well, I'm as close as I ever be to it, go over and see what it looked like.
I see. So, I mean, clearly it was an impactful experience to see.
I think so.
Yeah. How has that impacted your, perhaps, worldview of anything as simple as individual relationships to perhaps the use of atomic weapons in future conflict and
Well,
your experience going forward after seeing it firsthand?
I'm thinking that if the Arabs and the Serbs and that whole tribe of that junk, they want to do all this stuff to us, and as I do, just say, okay, if you don't stop by Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we're going to start bombing you, and they're going to keep it going until you're wiped out.
Hmm.
Because there's no need to pacify them. They've been fighting before Christ was born.
Mm-hmm.
They never have got along over there.
Yeah.
They always causing trouble with people. So now they'll get something done in the United States pretty soon. Unfortunately to say, they get these crazy rabble rousers and willing to do anything,
Yeah.
give their life just to be a hero.
Yeah.
And so that's not our way of life. But so I think that we need to be a little tougher with our. I don't say it has to be atomic bomb.
Yeah.
Tokyo was never atomic bombed,
Right.
but actually Tokyo was just about as bad as Hiroshima. It was very, very well destroyed. You can see hotel buildings. See, we came in there, signed a peace treaty. That wasn't very long afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you could see a hotel room, maybe a big hotel might have been, well, I don't know how many stories. You could see an arm sticking out, or a leg sticking out of a window. Big pile of rubble. And it didn't smell very good downtown either. But there was just regular bombs.
Yeah.
They'd left, MacArthur had been responsible for that part, and he'd left the big department store, about like Kmart's today,
Yeah.
and a hotel, and what else did he leave there? Oh, the Bank of Tokyo. So about, maybe 3 or 4 days before we signed the peace treaty, I got orders from Washington to go up to the Bank of Tokyo and get money to pay the troops, and pay them in yen.
Mm.
And so, now where in the hell do I find the Bank of Tokyo? You know, well, I'm that all right, but, so, here, fucking goddamn Japs. So I took 4 machine guns, and I would have carried the 45, so I guess I'll go in there and put it up for 45. And I want 1,000,000 yen, and you better be damn sure the count's correct, or there's going to be some dead Japanese. Well, of course, they speak English, you know.
Mm.
And so, and I says, and furthermore, when I come back, I intend to be exchanged at the same rate of exchange, too. Now, they give me money all right, but then go back to ship and dish out money if the other ones guys needed, if they wanted to pay the troops, I guess. But anyway, I didn't like that idea because what was wrong with it, then I got orders to pay the troops 6 yen. If they were supposed to draw $10, they get 60 yen. That's not the true value of the American dollar. Why were they inflating in the Japanese dollar? You know, that would be the same as inflating the Japanese yen. Yeah, I followed the orders all right, but boys were pretty smart. They'd go uptown and they'd get 125 yen for one on the street. And then they'd come back to the ship and they'd say, we want some money, we got 250 yen. Well, now let's see. I paid you 6 to 1, that's all I take back. Oh, poor kid. You're
Yeah.
so heartbroken. You understand? They have to be entrepreneurs.
Yep.
That's okay. It was all right.
Yeah. So you came back after you had this injury that you described. Where were you when the war ended formally? When
Well, they don't, you know.
you were there even after getting the money from the bank.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so you returned home nearly immediately after the peace treaty was signed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, no,
Yeah, a year
not
later.
really. We had to decommission the ship.
Sure.
Then the Navy base in San Francisco, the ships were being decommissioned at it's about 100 miles up to the San Joaquin River. And there are thousands of them just stacked along that big bay. That's where they were at. And you go through the formality of valuing the ship and cross it off with the values. So then I reported back to the Frisco base to go home, and the admiral says, "We're going to keep you, because you seem to have the right system on decommissioning these ships." No, I said, my time is up. I'm way past that. Well, we're going to give you orders. You're going to be here for 90 days. So another 90 days, baby. And I could stay where I wanted to stay, and stayed in the Mark Hotel then, and got nice quarters there. But
And this is
Frisco.
Yeah, this is while with your injury too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
By that time I was healed up all right.
Yeah.
But it just didn't heal well.
Yeah. So after your 90 days decommissioning ships a bit more in San Francisco, you came home.
Mm-hmm.
How were you received by the community here and your family?
Oh, well, I don't know. I guess I grew up here, so I knew pretty much everybody here. And a lot of the boys my age had been in the Army, more so than the Navy. Inland guys are more Army than they are
Yeah.
Navy, so to speak.
Yeah. So, did you have any difficulties readjusting to life here after your time in the Navy?
No, at least I didn't have as much money as I had when I boarded ship.
Did you join, or are you still a member of any veterans organizations?
Well, I pretty much, we had the American Legion
Yeah.
here, and I belonged to it, but I wasn't active with them.
Okay.
Because, well, there actually wasn't any other, very few Navy guys even, the American Legion, so, more. I didn't have time for that anyway, I guess.
Yeah. So, what have you done since your time with the Navy? I mean, you came back here and worked on the farm quite a bit. What other sorts of things did you busy yourself with?
Oh, I don't know. I eventually was chairman of so damn many boards that don't know what the hell all the word. Church boards and
School board,
beef boards and
school board. Weren't you on the school board?
yeah,
School board?
School board for quite a while.
Yep.
And well, it's all public service stuff.
Sure.
So it's you don't have to be wait very long if you're willing to do some work for public service. You'll find he'll find something for you to do.
So, you would say perhaps one of the ways wartime affected your life was a lasting commitment to public service.
Yeah.
What else?
Oh, I don't know. You just, well, I would say that training, I guess I learned how to handle money and what to do with it and how you could do with it and what you not ought to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that was probably the most beneficial part because I have 4 brokers that I work with on investments
Mm-hmm.
and I've bought quite a bit of land as time went on and things like that.
Sure. So, so how did your time affect your views of war or the military generally?
Well, I don't know. I never thought too much about
Yeah?
that anyway.
Really?
Just that, I don't think the military, either the Army or the Navy, got very much to say about war or what they ought to do. I think it's more controlled by Wall Street on who's going to make the most money out of it. I don't think we've got to get Wall Street out of this picture some way or another. It don't take very much sight to see that 535 idiots in Washington, they don't say anything anymore. You can take the payroll to pay money, right?
Yeah.
Payroll to keep your mouth shut. And something they never come up with a decision that's right or wrong. And just to give an example, some of the conservation reserve, one of my patches is a 15-year contract expired. I haven't looked it up, but I think I got $85 an acre.
Okay.
For retirement, because it's subject to flood and kind of that. The new offer is, if I renew that, they'll do that one for $375 an acre. I can't even make that much money on the good farm land. Something don't match up very good.
Yeah.
Well, what am I supposed to have an opinion on that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it don't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. DNR wants, and EPA, they want everything to be in grass, I guess. And
Yeah.
they don't need any dirt in the water, so that when they go swimming, they won't get a mouthful of dirt. I suppose is what's afraid of. I don't know.
So, for future generations, I mean, even people in my generation, they're going to have the chance to watch this interview and hear a number of your heroic stories that you so casually share with us. What sort of message would you give to me as well as others my age?
I don't know what I could give you for a message, except that we need to have a government that is more for the people and not for the standing corporate America into running everything. Because we don't have much power as people anymore. We've got all bureaus. Bureau for this, bureau for that. And you don't really have a voice in say it. Just like this sewage system, you see, $2.5 million system for 200 people. That's stupid. Just foisted on us.
Yeah.
And it didn't take enough effort to fight it. So here it is. Pay for what, 40 years, I guess.
Yeah.
That don't make sense. Things should be done as need and not greed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So that's a pretty powerful message for life generally and how it relates to politics. Do you have a specific takeaway from perhaps your military experience that you would share?
Well, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know whether that influences you or not, except that they have waste in the military too, as far as that goes, but it's a little different thing there. You want to be sure you got enough of what you need at the time. To be short. So it's a little harder to manage efficiently. I think your military would be on your own enterprise. Would be my guess. Anyway.
Is there anything that throughout this discussion that you feel like we haven't shared? If there's a specific story perhaps that didn't come up that comes to mind?
I think we covered about everything.
Yeah. One thing you have mentioned to me previously that I would be delighted for you to share if you feel inclined was about your experience in Indochina. If you want to speak about that a bit, perhaps when that was and...
Well, that's a funny story.
Yeah, please share if you don't
I
mind.
don't know if that's of any value to you, but anyway, when we first came in after the war, we left Sasebo over to Tsingtao. That's right across the Yellow Sea. That was, and I was walking up the street in Tsingtao and with my bodyguard with me, and well, let's go in that store and see what they got. And there's a couple of, an older couple, the White Russians. Most of the White Russians did most of this business in China, still do, actually. They had the money. Anyway, we went in and said, oh, you're American officers, oh, you're so wonderful. The Japanese had us prisoners, me and him, prisoners for 10 years. And you came along, and one of the Japs and we had to prison. And so we had 2 daughters, and we know where the one is, but we'd lost track of the other, and we hadn't seen her for 10 years. And the last we heard, she married somebody in Kansas City. So that night we back to ship, and we decided, well, we'd use some of my powers to locate people, and got a hold of Chamber of Commerce, and by God, they found her. So we, in the meantime, we went up to Manchuria, and come back about a month later, I guess, and well, let's go and see them old people. Boy, I think. Oh, we found her daughter. They just crying for joy. And they said, you're going to Tin Sen. Our other daughter lives in Tin Sen. You're going to Tin Sen. We told her you're coming. And no. So we get up there to Taku. That's up in Manchuria again, where the Grand Wall goes into the Yellow Sea. We set a marine base up. And the general, I go up to his office every day from the ship, and he says, Washington wants me to send 4 Marine officers inland so that the Chinese can see who the Americans are. Well, what are you telling me that for? And he said, well, it's supposed to be a volunteer program, and my officers don't want to go. Oh, great big heroes don't want to go, huh? And he's kidding him, you know, and he talked, and I said, well, I got a friend they can look up in Tinson. Oh, you're going. You're going. That's the best leg we've got. So this thing went on, raising. There's 3 officers from the ship went with me then. And I had to drive at midnight in the dark on the Chinese road to Tinson. And oh, we got there, and this little lady sat in the hotel. We couldn't find a place, and actually 2 in the morning. And she says, "You're American officers. They freed my boy from the Japanese. I'm going to see that you have a nice place to stay. And I have a lot of wealthy friends." So she got us put up for the night. And, we couldn't do enough for us. Next day, we looked up this lady. Her husband is mayor of Tinson. The city is yours. We're going to do everything we can for you. And they did. They treated us like a king of England. Oh my, how good they treated us. It's just unbelievable that a good deed would turn into such a tremendous thing. They just couldn't do enough to appreciate that we had freedom from it. See, the Japanese had occupied that part of the country too, see. Yes, they took everything there was to play the hands on.
Yeah.
The way they talked, so that's just a kind of a sideline experience that you run into.
Yeah. Yeah. About how far along was that, just for putting that in the timeline? When was that?
Oh, it was in 45 sometime
Okay.
after the war. Of course,
Yeah,
after
yeah.
the peace treaty was signed. So
Okay.
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, sure.
It was been,
Sure.
but I never got to Beijing, but Tinson as close as you could get because Mao had already gotten just to Beijing.
Mm-hmm.
So the general didn't want to go no further than that. So eventually, I think probably all right that Mao took over for the Chinese because Chiang Kai-shek looked about like Wall Street in the United States and did very good with the people. And if you notice, maybe you don't notice it, but I've kind of noticed it, that Taiwan, the Chinese are trying to get Taiwan back. But the White Russians, when Mao took over, started pushing, they moved out and went to Taiwan. So they took the money to Taiwan.
Hmm.
And so Taiwan is very wealthy. And they have apparently good businesses and good corporations. So every so often, the Chinese like to take on, absorb Taiwan, but they ain't about to join them. They turn, I suppose, welfare and taxes and whatnot. I don't know what, but I know that the wealthy ones went over there.
That story you share about your time in Indochina is insightful because it shows the power of those that you came in contact with and how much they appreciated the work that you did for liberating those that you said the Japanese had in prison. So appreciate you sharing that.
What's going on downtown?
Well, let me give you a last thanks for the interview.
Okay.
I really appreciate your time, Earl.
Well,
Fantastic that we're able to share your story, not just with me, but
I've got some matches if you want to burn up the tape.
appreciate it.